Have you ever heard of tribespeople who can practically levitate, breaking the laws of physics? What about the man who can easily withstand the most powerful electric shocks? Or the girl endowed with superhero X-ray vision? These unique people are definitely worth getting to know better. This is Infinity, and in this episode I'll show you people with superpowers that are hard to explain. Let's go. Raj Mohan Nair. We were all told as children not to stick our hands into electrical sockets or play near transformer boxes. After all, electrocution is very serious. At least you can end up with shock and trauma, and at most you can die. But that doesn't seem to apply to Raj Mohan Nair from India. This human conductor is able to withstand the most powerful shock without any discomfort at all. Raj, also known as the Electric Man, doesn't shoot lightning bolts out of his hands like Emperor Palpatine, but he can pass electricity through himself to power a light bulb or an electronic device. All he has to do is grab live wires with his hands and let a huge amount of electricity pass through his body. Usually he puts one wire in his mouth for better conductivity and clasps the other one in his hand. Scientists understand this as well, but they still can't figure out exactly how Raj's superpower works or what its origins are. All they know is that Raj can easily withstand a current of 10 amps. Exposing an ordinary person to the same amount of current would cause their heart to stop in a fraction of a second. The Magnet Man. Could the Indians' abilities be related to magnetic fields? Maybe. But in the case of Lu Thao Lin, it certainly was. This man could not conduct incredible electric discharges through himself, but everything metal adhered to him. The native of Malaysia became known as the Magnet Man. The elderly Malaysian can be seen holding a multitude of spoons, other kitchen iron utensils, axes, and even bricks on his chest. That is, it was not only metal that stuck to him. Scientists who studied Lu Thao Lin estimated that the Magnet Man was capable of holding metal objects of up to 2 kilograms. Researchers from the University of Technology Malaysia studied the Malaysian's features and concluded that there were no magnetic abilities in Lu Thao Lin's body, but that his skin had mysterious suction properties. It's not clear what exactly those properties were, but it was due to them that the Malaysian became a real magnet and a famous person. Levitation. How high can you jump in place? Have you ever measured it? If you're interested, you can do it right now. In any case, you're unlikely to jump incredibly high, unless, of course, you're from the Masi tribe. They're a semi-nomadic people living on the savanna in southern Kenya and northern Tanzania. They're known for a dance called adumu, which is characterized by very unusual jumps. The dancer flies up above the ground like a rocket and kind of freezes for a moment. I have a feeling that in some strange way he freezes in the upper point longer than it's possible for an ordinary person. This is how it is. Scientists who have studied these aborigines believe that they have a superpower close to levitation. This is evidently not only in the height of the jumps, but also in how easily these aborigines jump. By the expression of Masi people's faces, it doesn't seem that they jump as hard as they can just to freeze like this. That's why in the photo the jumping Masi men look as if they're suspended from something or stand literally on the air. Isn't it levitation? By the way, they say that the Masi people jumping is an indicator of masculinity, as well as a general assessment of a man. It's even believed that the one who jumps higher is the best groom. In general, there are many interesting things to tell about the Masi people. For example, these aborigines practice stretching their earlobes. The Masi people use anything from rocks and tusks to corks to stretch their earlobes. They believe that stretched earlobes are a symbol of wisdom. It's an interesting tradition, but probably very painful. However, the next character of this episode could go through the earlobe stretching procedure without difficulty because he feels no pain. Stay tuned to see this man, as well as to learn about other people with incredible abilities and peculiarities. Probably all of us, at least once in our lives, would like to not feel pain. For example, when we suffered from illness or treated severe bruises and fractures. Tim Cridlin from the United States is the luckiest person in this regard. This American feels no pain at all. This allows him to give spectacular and frightening shows where he conducts creepy experiments with his body right in front of the audience. The Torture King, as Tim is called in the world of show business, can stick a needle under his skin, swallow a sword or fire, sleep on nails, and even pierce his throat and cheeks with a pin. That even sounds creepy. Not only is it amazing that Tim remains perfectly calm while performing such tricks, but also that there's not a trace of blood on his skin after these tricks. As for the torture king himself, he claims that he does not tolerate pain. According to him, he simply doesn't feel it. Scientists have studied Tim's phenomenon. They've concluded that the torture king has a much higher pain threshold than the average person does. In all other respects, Tim is no different from the rest of us. Scientists add that Tim is also distinguished from most other people by his phenomenal knowledge of anatomy. To perform his stage numbers, the American has to study anatomy very carefully in order to not cause fatal damage to himself. X-ray woman. Perhaps Tim Cridland should be shown to Natalia Demkina because she's called the girl with X-ray eyes. According to Natalia's claims, she has second vision with which she can see inside a person. According to Natalia's mother, her daughter's abilities appeared all of a sudden. She believes that unsuccessful appendicitis removal surgery, after which Natalia had to have another surgery, was the trigger for the manifestation. A month after treatment, Natalia suddenly scanned her mother's body and figuratively described the shape of her organs. When the worried mother went with her daughter to see a therapist, Natalia accurately identified the doctor's peptic ulcer. Soon, other medical professionals learned of Natalia's abilities and brought patients to see her as an experiment. The doctors were shocked that the girl could accurately identify all the patient's ailments. Moreover, her diagnoses were often more accurate than diagnoses made by doctors with medical equipment. Natalia herself says that her second vision is like seeing through the skin and subcutaneous fat, so she can see the location and shape of all the internal organs. If there's any disease in the body, Demkina feels it through certain impulses coming from the affected organ or part of the body. There is not much information about the 34-year-old at present, but according to some reports, she continues her activities as the girl with X-ray eyes and helps even high-ranking people. Stephen Wiltshire. If Stephen Wiltshire goes on a city trip and forgets his phone with camera, he's unlikely to be very upset when he realizes that he won't be able to capture a couple beautiful views. After all, this British has an amazing and phenomenal superpower. He can reproduce architectural landscapes from memory after seeing them only once. When Stephen was 3 years old, he was diagnosed with savant syndrome. When Stephen was about 5, he was enrolled in school where teachers first noticed his interest in drawing. Soon, Stephen's abilities began to unfold and the boy himself began to earn money thanks to his memory and steady hand. Stephen became world famous by drawing a highly detailed landscape of London after flying over the city in a helicopter just once. Wiltshire's other accomplishments include an accurate drawing of New York City after a 20-minute flight over the city, as well as huge canvases with detailed depictions of Tokyo and Hong Kong. The precision of the detail is shocking. Stephen recreates everything on paper, down to the number of windows on certain houses. Jill Price. In terms of a phenomenal memory, Jill Price can compete with Stephen. Only if Stephen brilliantly remembers architectural landscapes and then transfers them to paper, then Jill remembers everything. I mean, literally everything. She remembers every day of her life in minute detail, starting when she was 11 years old. That means Jill can pick any date since 1976 and tell in incredible detail what she did on any given day. Jill's case is incredibly rare and almost unique. She was the first person in the world to be diagnosed with highly superior autobiographical memory, or hyperthymesia. There are only a few dozen such people in the world right now. It all sounds very cool. Supermemory could rightfully be called a superpower that can hardly be explained. But 55-year-old Jill says there is a downside to her peculiarity. Often memories pop up in her mind against her will. That's all, guys. Do you have any unusual feature or superpower? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching and see you later.